Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Rayge, and we are back today to talk about the Old Man Logan trials. But more importantly, as you see on screen here, I was able to finally unlock him at the 6 yellow stars here, going through difficulty 14. I want to walk you guys through the teams and synergies that I work for myself, as well as some big red flags if you're also going through it for the first time, or even actually if you're doing these higher level difficulties. So I did the lower difficulty gameplay, so I'll link that below if you guys want to reference. But now that we've had a chance to go through these higher difficulties, definitely some learning experiences here for sure. I probably will make more videos on some gameplay on some of the specific nodes, but in today's video, we're just going to summarize it and show you the teams that worked, as well as what I would recommend personally. Now that I've kind of experienced and went through it myself with the given team levels that I have and some of the characters that I would recommend. So first and foremost, if you guys head over to events here, this is where the Old Man Logan trials is situated. It is nice that this event's actually going to be here for the next 9 days, 17 hours. So I believe that's a little longer than what we've seen in the past, which gives everyone a little bit more time to build up characters and teams. But I gotta say, guys, this is definitely a nice step up in difficulty, because the last time I did this, difficulty 10, it was an absolute cakewalk. I think I had all the Scourges or packs activated, and you could just auto everything. But with even at difficulty 14, which granted me the 6 yellow of Logan and the 4 red, I did find with some of my characters and teams being higher than expected, these characters were hitting back hard because of their diamond levels. So I do want to quickly talk about that real quick here. So I still have the run right here actually, and you can see here it's difficulty 14, and you actually don't even need to do the last node here, which requires the 6 stars out of time, Cabal, Emma Frost, or Loki. But yeah, in difficulty 14, if you just do 9 nodes with these packs activated, you can actually get the majority of the rewards. The only exception is obviously missing out on the final 7 star here of Old Man Logan, as well as some crimson gear that you can obviously utilize for the character build up. Now, I do want to quickly just show you guys which packs I have activated. First of all, what I would personally recommend if you're going through it to ensure a streamlined progression, but as well what I think is kind of best min-maxing, especially if you're just trying to go through certain set levels and milestones. So if I hit the packs here, this is what I have activated right now, total of 75 points. When a character heals himself, they gain an additional 10%. I thought that was just like a nice little freebie. You don't need to have that, but it was nice for characters, especially out of time that thrives on healing. This really benefited the team. We had Godspeed Spider-Man, which is Spire Society characters gaining extra 15% in damage. But keep in mind, Sinister 6 characters also gain 10%. So there's a specific node actually where this is going to be tied back to. I will talk about it a little bit. But overall, it gives your Spire Society an extra little bit of punch, especially if you're planning to use them for some of the hero skill nodes. We have Berserker's Barrage. I really like this one because when any character defeats an enemy, their speed bar actually gets filled by 20%. So if you're clearing enemies pretty good and you're overpowering them, this is actually a really, really good one. And then finally, in my honest opinion, ladies and gentlemen, Forged in Fire and World at War, these are the 2 most important packs to have activated on the Old Man Logan trials, just because of the fact that they give you a lot of synergy for the teams that you'll be using. If you don't have these 2 activated, it could very well make your run a lot more difficult than it actually is. But I also want to point out, obviously there's some synergies. There's some enemies that are much stronger because of these impacts as well. So yeah, just something to be mindful of. It's definitely food for thought, but I found that my out of time team didn't really work at all without the war ability, so just something to be mindful of there. And then Cosmic Crucible, it plays a big factor in your Cabal team. So overall, I think just for the functionality of the Scourge or Pact and trial event, it makes more sense to have them activated. That way it gives you a more streamlined experience with the team that you're using. So that basically covers the packs, guys. So let me walk you through each of the nodes, what teams and characters I personally recommend and used, and which ones we had issues with, and the ones that you should be on the watch for if you're going through it like myself. And again, guys, if you want to see some specific gameplay footage, maybe on certain nodes, let me know. I can definitely go back and obviously re-record. So first node, super duper easy. Just throw in your Extreme X-Men, bring in Old Man Logan. They're gonna be able to auto everything, especially Logan getting the war bonuses that you see with node 1 here. You can honestly just throw this team and hit auto. It's an easy victory. The other thing I would consider is if you want to set up some of your future teams, you definitely could, so that way they have their cooldowns ready to go. You know, some obvious ones would be Super Skrull if you need his ultimate turn 1, but just food for thought. This is a super easy node. You're not gonna have any issues whatsoever. And again, you can get Old Man Logan actually unlocked at 4 stars if you do the difficulty 15 node 1 trick. I'm actually going to link that video below as well if you guys are interested. But otherwise, we're just going to continue trucking here as if you're going to be completing the majority of this run. Node 2, super easy. You're going to be needing out time. And as you can see here, the only exception here that wasn't really built up was my Starnak or Starbrand. He is only gear tier 16. You don't really need him built up. I had my Cosmic Ghost Rider 17. Both Carter and Captain America was already previously built up for my Dark Dimension 6 run, so they were just invested in already. But yeah, overall, they had an easy time. Could my Cosmic Ghost Rider and Starnak been a little lower and we still got the job done? I think so. Difficulty 14 wasn't as demanding in my honest opinion. I think where you probably need all characters at least 17 or possibly gear tier 18 is probably on difficulty 15. But for 14, you could get away likely with just Carter, Captain America, and Black Knight, and then some lower investment in Cosmic Ghost Rider or Starbrand, just because they're not really as important. Moving on here now to mission 3. Oh, sorry, misclicked there. Mission 3 is right there. This is the Cosmic Bio one. And honestly, this is not bad up until the very end where Apocalypse does show up. So that's the one that you need to be mindful of. And I actually saved my Super Skrull Ultimate for the very end there. If you don't have Super Skrull, this matchup does become quite a bit harder. I would recommend building up the Nowhere team, but as well, remember, we have some characters like Mr. Fantastic, being part of that new Illuminati team, Black Bolt. They are available as well, so you can use your synergies, but this is what worked for me. I had Nova, Super Skrull, Void Knight, Korg just used there for protection. As you can see, he's not even built up, and Photon for the blinds, which is pretty big. But I definitely would say Super Skrull makes this a lot easier. If you don't have Super Skrull, you might have to bring in 2 full teams actually to get it done. So that might be something of a bottleneck here if you guys don't have Skrull unlocked, especially on difficulty 14. And again, this is going to be more of the end game players that are trying to optimize Old Man Logan at this point. And I already kind of teased it earlier, but mission 4. Hero skill, in my honest opinion, ladies and gentlemen, I think this is actually the hardest node that I experienced when I was going through it, and that's saying something, considering 2 out of my Spire Society characters were brought into Dark Dimension 7, as you can see, and as well as Pav, my Ghost Spider Gwen, as well as Penny, all being gear tier 18. I still had a hard time. It's difficult to one-shot it at the very beginning. You have to throw in some characters, as you can see on screen here, almost as a sack. So that way the opposing superior 6 characters use their abilities. And then finally you would bring it in. After you see the Lizard use the abilities and Craven, you can bring in your Spire Society to actually clean things up. So you can see they didn't do any damage. They were really just soaking up their attacks. So this one takes a little bit of finessing, but overall it looks like average of 3 attacks. So you need about 2 burner attacks or 2 weaker teams to soak up the attacks. And then finally take it home with your Spire Society. And to be honest, I wouldn't recommend any other team other than Spire Society, because that enemy Superior 6 team has devastating synergy from the Crucible bonuses, and this is probably the hardest node, in my honest opinion, when you're doing the higher difficulties. Next up, we got Mission 5 here. Super easy, honestly. If you bring in Cabal plus 2 villains, you're just going to clean this up. So we had Kang as well as Apocalypse, but to be honest, it doesn't really matter who you bring in for villains. Make sure you have Cabal for villains, because it just made it so much easier. And you get some value too, because on the next mission, being mission 6, it is actually the Cabal as well as Emma and Loki. And again, you don't need to build up Emma or Loki. You just need to bring in Cabal. All of them being gear tier 18 is a good recommendation. You could probably get it done with gear tier 17 as well, but the 18 here is going to be a good investment for myself, as I am strongly considering these characters for Dark Dimension 7. And remember, Dark Dimension 8 needs villain global characters, so these guys are going to slot in very, very nicely for future value, and they're just a really good team overall. So great investment for sure. Highly, highly recommend. Next up, we got Mission 7, back to Cosmic Bio. Again, I think this one's definitely a lot easier than the first mission here that we brought in Cosmic Bio on Node 3. Once you get a good rhythm here, these characters can completely crush it. But again, it's because Super Skrull makes things a lot easier. I definitely do feel like this node anyways, if you don't have Super Skrull, is more manageable than the first one. And that's kind of how they planned it, so that way they can Stargate or bottleneck folks from obviously rising higher into the run scores here. We have Mission 8 next, which is right here, Hero Skill. So, actually, this is funny. This one's hilarious. I actually was not paying attention, and what happened is You can one-shot this. This is not a 2-attack, but what happened was I wasn't paying attention to my Spire Society, and the Red Hulk enemy actually activated his ultimate, which completely wiped my team. So just don't drop your guard in this one. If you're up against the Red Hulk, be very mindful of the charges and making sure that you can control him. Otherwise, you might pay the price like you see here, where my Spire Society was actually very close to winning, and all of a sudden the Red Hulk activates ultimate and crushed me. So thankfully I had a second team ready to go, but it doesn't really matter. Just make sure you guys are careful in this one. You can definitely one-shot it. It's just more so I wasn't paying attention personally. And then, last but not least, the villains. Bring in Cabal plus 2 other villains. Easy work, guys. So, by doing those 9 nodes, that's what granted me the 10.4 million, which, again, like I said, gives you every milestone here except for milestone 15. Having said that, from my experience anyways, Gear Tier 18 on the majority of the characters made this run super smooth. I didn't have any difficulties, like I said, outside of that node 4, which in my honest opinion is still like the hardest one. So this is the one you have to be mindful of, okay? Be careful with this one with the sack attempts. You might need 2 full teams on top of Spire Society, but otherwise, if you're careful like me and just throwing in some attacks there and then bringing in your Spire Society for that real attempt, then you should have no issues. But let me know how you guys are doing. Hopefully this is helpful. I'm going to try difficulty 50 and get back to you guys, because I do feel like my characters may not be built up for that. I feel like that's where probably a lot of your characters need to be level 100. So I'll give it a stab and get back to you guys. But in the meantime, thank you for letting me know how your guys' experience will be. Let me know if you have any issues with certain notes. Always love hearing back. Thank you for your time as always, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.